What's up, people? We're here. We're live. Give me 1 second. I'm getting our shares out. Hope you guys are having a great Monday. Again, Miss B, Scott Lenny Global Hires. Google that man. Here we go. All right. Share one. Few more shares, guys. Don't worry, we're not going to be long. I'm getting better at this. Few more. Last one coming. I see you, Scott. Looking forward to it today, bro. Glad you're here. And I think that'll do it. Hold on. Y'all know my part. That was my part right there. What's happening, brothers? I'll be doing out there today. You guys are here. Episode 10, Coach G's Radical Man Show. And today, guys, we're going to make this not too short. Probably not the full time because I got a road to get ready to jump onto right now. But I want to make sure that we had this conversation and that we have it as clearly and as directly as possible. So you guys don't see the, I don't got the dry erase board here right now. I want to make sure I just straight communicate with you guys. And if you see the title of today's episode is that if you want to be radical, it requires being uncomfortable. And what does that mean, right? Well, let's just look at those two terms. Radical, being different from what is traditionally known about you. Uncomfortable, simply not being comfortable, not in a place of ease, not in a place of steady flow, if you will, right? Not in a place of predictability all the time. So when we look forward to these pieces here, guys, and we're trying to say, okay, look, I'm trying to be radical because I don't like what I'm traditionally known as. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of us aren't happy with what we've been traditionally known as. I'm traditionally known as what? An addict, traditionally known as an abuser, traditionally known as someone who never quite made it all the way, who didn't quite cross the mark, someone who didn't know how to really complete the task. There are 1,001 different ways that you are being traditionally known. So we want to be radical in that. So now if we're going to be radical, we also got to be uncomfortable. And I want you all to understand right now that being uncomfortable is 1,000 times different than being in a place of like uneasiness. Uneasiness is what you encounter one time, right? Like you go through something one time, it's not easy. Uncomfortable is where you continually put yourself in that environment to see how you're going to be able to respond. And not to mention, there's also the biggest thing that you guys got to know just about being mindful, right? What happens when we're uncomfortable? Be honest about it. What is being uncomfortable? Everybody wants to be radical. Like if you're always known for being broke, you want to be known for making money. If you're always known for being in a horrible relationship, you want to be known for being in great relationships. If you're always known for, not having a job, you want to be known for being able to keep a job, keep consistency. What is that really going to take of you then in being uncomfortable? So what happens when we're uncomfortable? First of all, what do we end up feeling? And I'm going to take it back to the 3 E's, right? Being uncomfortable gives us what? It gives us our ego. We have our emotions. And then we have our experiences when we're uncomfortable, right? I mean, think about that for a minute. Something hits you hard. Maybe you're uncomfortable with the fact that you can't drive. And now you got to catch this public transportation everywhere. You're uncomfortable with the fact that, your family is separated right now from you. Right? My family's 400 miles away from me today. By the end of the month, they'll be about 2,400 miles away from me, moving all the way out to Nevada. Right? These things aren't comfortable. So how do we choose to deal with it? Now, I'll be honest with you guys. I've definitely dropped the ball when it comes to being uncomfortable. Like, I have been one of those guys in the past that says, you know what? I want to make this change. I want to be this. I want to be that. It doesn't matter what I've been. It's social services, doing sales, coaching, physical routines. I want to be this. I'm going to be this way different about me until it becomes uncomfortable. Right? We join the gym because we want to be different. But then it becomes uncomfortable. Like, not uneasy. That first day wasn't easy. Uncomfortable is when you got to keep going back. And you got to look at everybody else in the gym working out. And then again, we got to deal with our 3 E's. You got the ego, you got your emotions, you got your experiences. And what are they all screaming at you right now? When you're uncomfortable, your ego's going to probably yelling at you. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? We had it easy beforehand. Forget these few extra pounds. Forget a solid relationship. Forget about steady employment. Forget about all these things. This is so much more harder than what we just got done dealing with. And now you're pushing us into this other place. That's ego. Your emotions. What are your emotions telling you? This sucks. You know what? How come he doesn't have to go through this? How come she doesn't have to go through this? How come I seem to be the only one that has to endure this part right now? Emotions. And then we have our experiences. Our experiences will screw us up more than anything. I mean, I hate it. I don't hate it, but, I almost feel bad for people who grew up in maybe a cookie cutter type of environment, or for those who grew up in like that not so great environment, because all of a sudden that becomes the standard. Life has to operate in cookie cutter modes and yay, wonderful. Or you grew up in this poor, wonderful, poor, horrible environment, and now that's your mindset moving forward. Like, you already elevated your game, you went to college, you moved out the neighborhood, but you're still walking around because of your experiences. And you haven't been willing to be in that uncomfortable place that's going to allow you to enjoy this new land you're stepping in right now. I had my guy come in. I had one of my clients come in, have clients come in that do intensive immersion programs with me, right? It's a 3-day program they come in here and do with me. And my guy came in here, and he has a great background. I mean, this guy has a beautiful home, like nice big 4-bedroom home. This guy's married. He has children, has vehicles. He's like tenured in the army right now. Like, this guy has status. He has clout. And when he had to come out here with me and he had to go through these activities that were uncomfortable, the reason you got to experience, because you will almost break at not easy. Like, if you don't understand what you're really here going after, you'll break it not easy. Because it's not easy. A relationship that's not easy. A dynamic that's not easy. A conversation that's not easy. An outlook that's not easy. I mean, let's just be honest. Even in today's world right now, right? There's a lot of ways that I can look around and say, oh man, not easy. I should let it go. I never forget, like, one of the biggest things that I used to get hit with when I was doing door-to-door sales, right? I used to do sales door-to-door. A lot of you guys know it. I was pretty good at it. But right around 2014, 2015 came around, that's when, not that's when it started, but it was more publicized about, public shootings, unarmed black men being shot. And and it was that piece that people used to ask me about, like, how can you still go out here and knock on folks' doors? What are you doing? You can't go in these neighborhoods and just knock on random people's doors right now. That you can't be safe. And even worse was that I would see people make posts. They make posts about how now we have to begin to operate in this new kind of society. Right? Like they want it to be the comfortable expressions. They want it to be easy. They want to stick with what's like been traditionally known. Like, listen, guys, look, this happens. You listen to every single thing that takes place. And let me help you guys out. Whether we're talking about social injustices, we're talking about issues in your own household right now, we're talking about, you want to make a worldwide change. It doesn't matter what the change is we're talking about. When you're trying to have that part of you become radical, it requires doing the uncomfortable. There's literally no two ways about it. You must be uncomfortable in the process. Here's the deal. Uncomfortable lets you now know what your new limits and boundaries are. You have no idea what they are when you're in a land of comfort. I don't care how destitute and how well off your life is. If you're dealing with comfort all the time, and if you're seeking for comfort, like even when I look at posts, people go find a job to get comfortable. Like, I don't understand. Like, you're literally saying, like, you know what? I want to go to work and not expect a challenge. How do you advance? Like, when do you step outside of that role to say, you know what? I want something more. So the more that I want requires me getting from behind the desk that I'm in right now. But every day, like, I don't care if it's about the economy or what, I see somebody else posting about being comfortable. And comfortable does not allow you to change. It just doesn't. Like, that's the whole process of life, is that you're going to be in a place of comfort to grow into a place of being uncomfortable to become comfortable with that place of being uncomfortable. But here's the key part about it, guys. You keep forgetting and thinking that you have no control over what's comfortable or uncomfortable. Like when life impacts you and brings the uncomfortable, as if you have no control, no power whatsoever. You're subject to being uncomfortable as opposed to being the participant in being uncomfortable. There's a big difference. It's one thing when somebody makes your life uncomfortable. It's completely different when you seek it. When you say that, you know what, I recognize that I'm secure here, that I'm stable here, but there's more left for me to get. You see, when you force yourself to be uncomfortable, what really happens is that now you're saying to yourself, I'm ready to go to the next step. When you allow someone else to make you uncomfortable, they're making you uncomfortable so that they can move to the next step. So make no mistake about it, being uncomfortable is going to happen. The real question now says, if I'm going to be uncomfortable, then who the hell is it going to benefit? Like, if I gotta deal with it, like as much as you might be watching right now, you'll see the recording, you'll watch this on YouTube, and you're like, you know what, what's wrong with that, Coach G? Why can't I just be comfortable? Explain to me when that lasted for that long a period of time and your life was that great before something else came around. Again, here's the second thing you gotta know about being uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable keeps you prepared. It keeps you prepared. Again, my guy comes down, Army guy, in it right now, runs PT the whole nine, and because he's been in this comfortable position of his life for so freaking long, when we get out here and we're doing a little bit of a workout, my man is starting to fold at when it becomes not easy. He's ready to break at the not easy. And I'm telling you all right now, you will fold at not easy. Like, you will fold over something like your tire going out on the highway. You catching a flat tire. You will fold over something like, you know what, I got to have a parent-teacher conference with my kids' teachers right now for something that happened in school. That ain't real stuff, guys. Like, I don't want to be the one to kind of burst your bubble right now, but if you've been living in a place of comfort for the past, 20 years, you're like, I've never had a flat tire, never had a bad situation happen, everybody around me loves me and adore me. I'm here to tell you right now, find a way to get uncomfortable because it's coming. Hell, it might be uncomfortable right now and you just don't know it. But these are the places that we have to go. And you have to understand, we have to go there before someone else forces us to be there. Right? I mean, one of the guys that I follow, Eric Thomas, he has a great line, and this is like the 2017 slogan, like, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. How do you stay ready? You got to be uncomfortable. You got to find the places of being uncomfortable. What does that mean? Yep, you're going to have to learn to be uncomfortable around your finances. Like, some of y'all have been made uncomfortable about your finances. Like, we'll go out and do the behavior because we want to be comfortable and easy, so we spent the money. But now we're dealing with the money being gone and it's uncomfortable. That ain't really uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is when you're taking every single dime you got, you're doing it to the necessities, and you put everything else, listen, not in a bank. You invested in a business for you. You got to find a way to make that work for you. You got to find a way to say, you know what? I'm not subject to what the economy is going to sit up here and bring me right now. Guys, look, I'm not floating right now being an entrepreneur, running my own company as a business. Make no mistake about it again. I'm comfortable, right? I don't got guaranteed checks coming in. Minimum wage or not, it doesn't happen like that. I've been uncomfortable in my profession since 2015. I remember when I first started in sales, I thought I was coming into something comfortable. I fell for the script. Come on in, look, just do what we ask you to do, show up, do a couple things, $600 to $1,000 a week. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I showed up on the first day and I realized that, you know what? These guys are leaving out in a vehicle. Wait, you're not calling people? You know it's hot outside? You're going to sweat though. Yeah, that's a little bit too uneasy for me. And I didn't go out. As a matter of fact, it was like 3 days in and I'm just being uneasy. It's an uneasy conversation. Then I had to have an uneasy conversation with my boss. And he let me know, like, look, the income you want, it's there, but if you think it's going to happen and come to you when you're in your most comfortable place, that's not going to happen. That's not what happens here. You got to understand that you got to get uncomfortable for what it is that you want. Nobody else is going to be uncomfortable for what you want. Guys, you got to think about that. There's a part of you right now that's walking around scornful about how hard life is right now, and you're sitting here pissed at everybody else. But the reality of all this is that you just haven't made the decision to make this uncomfortable for you. So yeah, your spouse made it uncomfortable with the discovery and the exposure. And yeah, kids made it uncomfortable when they happen to pop up and you ain't expect it. Or they did something that's like, man, that's going to mess up the family name kind of deal. Right, those things happen. They can make you be, what do you do to be uncomfortable? So yeah, your spouse put you in a position where you felt uncomfortable. What are you now going to do that allows you to be radical in being uncomfortable as well? Are you going to learn to start having now the conversations? Are you going to quit waiting for your spouse to make you uncomfortable and say, you know what? Screw the discovery and the exposure. I'm here to give you a disclosure. Let me volunteer it. As uncomfortable as it's going to be, let me give it to you. Because the uncomfortable part that you're going to give me with the discovery, well, I don't got any defense for that. And let's be honest, as men, that ain't benefiting us. And you're lying to yourself as a man if you're going to tell yourself that you go through life without expecting some reward or trying to avoid some great consequence. And I'm telling you right now, whether it's the great reward or the consequence you want to avoid, it requires you being uncomfortable. Like, you will have less time to sleep. Period. You will sleep in uncomfortable environments. Period. I remember when I had to go and meet my coach in Hawaii. I can't explain how uncomfortable every single moment of it was. It was uncomfortable for me to come at the last minute to find money to catch a plane ticket to Hawaii. And some of y'all are like, oh, it's Hawaii. How uncomfortable is that going to be for you, George? Well, I mean, I left D.C. in sweatpants and a sweatshirt and a big coat and jacket because it was February and it was cold. I spent the night in the airport. I get to Hawaii. It's 80 degrees. Beautiful, but I'm funky and I'm sweating from every part of my body right now. I get dropped off. Next day, I'm put through probably one of the most grueling activities and processes I've ever been a part of. Uncomfortable. With the bad knee that just got hurt the day before I left to go out of town. And I'm dealing with sickle cell. Uncomfortable. And when the uneasy happened, that's what I told him. I got a bad knee. I got sickle cell, so we can't really push it. And what he do? Tell me to be uncomfortable. The very next day, I don't know if a lot of you all know it. If you've driven with me, you're probably familiar with it though. Brother right here, fear of heights. Like deathly fear of heights. My wife, my kids live in New York. Do you know how often I would try to Google a way to get to where they live without having to cross a freaking bridge? Day 2 of my time in Hawaii, we go for a drive. I have no idea what's happening. Next thing I know, I got a parachute strapped to my back and I'm being boarded onto a plane. Uncomfortable every step. It's like I'm stuck up at a high, like my feet are on the ground, but you know how like when you're really high and you start getting the sewing machine knees and start shaking? That's happening while I'm walking to the plane. I gotta sit first on the plane, which means I'm the first one that's gonna jump from this plane. But here's what I learned. I went through an uncomfortable, painful day of like a physically grueling day. And then I went through an uncomfortable, painful, emotional, and mental day having to jump from a plane. And I've never done it before, no practice. I lie to you not. I literally had about a 2 to 5 minute tutorial as to how to jump out of a plane. A guy walked up behind me, said, step your foot in here. Step your foot in here. Great. I'm going to pull this up. Don't let it go. When we get on the plane, kick one foot back. Great. Kick another foot back. Great. When we jump, you kick both back at the same time. Got it? Good. I'll come back around and get you. That was pretty much it. That's the prep I got to be uncomfortable about a fear. But here's what happened. Someone didn't handcuff me and throw me out of the plane. No one made me uncomfortable. My coach didn't make me do the activities. I chose to be uncomfortable. Why? Because I went there for something. And I knew it wasn't going to come the way the rest of my life had been up until that point, which was easy and comfortable and like borderline uneasy. I wasn't going to get what I want living in that space, existing in that space. So yeah, I ran and ran until the waters are rushing over my head in the beach, and I jumped out of a freaking plane, and then I get the chance to come home, and what I realized is that, man, by me being uncomfortable, I found a brand new limit. Like I came back home, my son's like, Dad, what happened to your knee? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're walking without a brace. I don't understand that. When we left out of here, you could barely put any weight on that leg. How are you coming back now walking without a brace? I don't understand that, Dad. When I get a chance to talk to my guys and I talk to my clients and I talk to the men that are part of my brotherhood and they get to hear this new voice that comes about by confronting your fears and me having to go to that uncomfortable place, now we get somebody's attention. Now we got real connections. We get to see real growth take place, guys. So listen up. Can't make this the full 30 minutes because I got to get ready to pack up today, guys. But everybody watching this feed, you guys want to be radical. You want to be different than what is traditionally known about you. And I'm willing to bet that there's a part of most people watching this feed right now that does not want to go to that uncomfortable place. As a matter of fact, it's a part of you saying that I've been in uncomfortable places. I'm tired of it. I don't care if you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. Like I've been there and I'm tired. And what I'm here to tell you is that it's time for you to choose to be uncomfortable. It's not time for you to accept someone else making you uncomfortable. You choose to be uncomfortable. Because when you choose to be uncomfortable, you get to choose the rewards that come out of it. I get to choose living a life without fear because I chose to be uncomfortable hopping out of a plane. I choose to live a life without limitations, no matter what any doctors ever told me, because I chose to be uncomfortable enough to push myself past the preconceived limits I had in my own head. So listen, brothers, I love you guys. As always, kick ass. You got my info. Shoot me a line. Let's talk about you being uncomfortable. 443-600-9169. Shoot me an email. George@themindfulhabit.com. Guys, look, it's Monday. Pick one thing. You choose. Be fucking uncomfortable with it and kill it. And let's talk about some of the rewards you got after the fact. I love you guys. Peace. kick ass.